Welcome to this explainer. Now, if you hear the word tarot and immediately picture some mysterious velvet-draped tent at a carnival, well, get ready to have your mind completely blown. Today, we're diving deep into the profound symbolic philosophy and esoteric teachings of Oswald Wirth's tarot. We're talking about a system that was designed not for cheap parlor tricks, but as a deeply academic, contemplative framework for Western esotericism.
Right off the bat, we need to bust a massive myth. We've got to separate the modern neon sign concept of the divinatory tarot. Fortune telling, predicting tomorrow's lottery numbers, figuring out if you're going to meet a tall, dark stranger, from Wirth's true purpose, which is the contemplative tarot. In Wirth's view, these cards are strictly an esoteric tool for spiritual evolution and profound self-knowledge. It is absolutely not about looking outwardly at what the future holds. It's entirely about looking inwardly at your own spiritual progression.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll look beyond fortune-telling, unpack the Hermetic foundation, see how Wirth upgraded the historic Marseille deck, decode his visual language, and finally, trace the Fool's spiritual journey. Let's jump into Section 1, Beyond Fortune-Telling and Wirth's Esoteric Vision. The absolute crux of this whole philosophy is Wirth's famous belief that tarot is a map for inner initiation, not a tool for predicting tomorrow. He viewed it strictly as a profound initiatory tool designed to literally move us from darkness into light. Think of it like an interactive, symbolic textbook for the serious student of Western esotericism. Every single card acts as a mirror, reflecting the hidden parts of our psyche, forcing us to confront our inner truths rather than obsessing over external futures we can't control anyway. Moving into Section 2, the Hermetic Foundation, covering alchemy, Kabbalah, and initiation. It's actually wild how a single concept in Wirth's system functions like a master key across completely different mystical disciplines. It unlocks Hermeticism's as above, so below principle, connecting the cosmos directly to you. It aligns perfectly with the spiritual transmutation of alchemy, and no, we're not talking about turning literal lead into gold, but transforming the base self into an illuminated soul. Plus, it maps directly onto the Kabbalistic tree of life. It's essentially a unified theory of esoteric initiation visualized on pieces of cardboard. Section 3, Upgrading the Marseille deck and Restoring Occult Truths. Now, think about the traditional Marseille deck for a second. Historically significant? Absolutely. But its artwork was largely unstandardized. We're talking about a product of medieval woodblock printing, initially created for card games way before occultists ever adopted it. Wirth realized this, and he didn't just copy those old Marseille cards. He performed a deliberate, calculated occult restoration. He analyzed the historical artwork, completely stripped away the printing errors and random artistic whims, and carefully infused the designs with precise, corrected esoteric symbolism based on those hermetic and alchemical traditions we were just talking about. That brings us to Section 4, the language of symbols, focusing on archetypes, colors, and gestures. To actually use this framework the way Wirth intended, you've got to wrap your head around the fact that the major arcana function as universal archetypes. They aren't just random historical characters like the emperor or the magician. They're deeply universal psychological and spiritual symbols that represent the absolute fundamental experiences of the human condition. When you look at one of these archetypes, you are literally looking at a foundational building block of human consciousness. You really have to zoom in on the specific visual details to unlock Wirth's philosophy. Take the color red, for example. What does the color red actually reveal? In a regular deck of playing cards, it's just ink. But in Wirth's contemplative tarot, red might denote active, spiritual energy, alchemical passion, or the vital life force of initiation itself. Every single drop of ink has a philosophical job to do. And this brings us to the meticulously designed micro-narratives woven into the deck. Notice how character gestures point toward earthly or divine realms. That specific angle of an arm is no accident. The occult colors code the card's elemental nature. The numerical significance ties straight back into sacred geometry. And the integrative alchemical symbols provide the exact formula for whatever spiritual challenge that specific card represents. Wirth is speaking directly to us, but he's doing it entirely through this incredibly rich, layered visual language. Finally, Section 5, the Fool's spiritual journey and mapping spiritual evolution. Now, the number 22 is absolutely paramount here. We're talking about the 22 cards of the major arcana.
In Wirth's esoteric system, this isn't just an arbitrary sequence of cards to draw from. It represents the complete, unbreakable wheel of spiritual archetypes. It is the totality of the psychological states and spiritual trials that we must encounter, confront, and ultimately integrate to achieve true wisdom.
Because really, this entire 22-card framework is fundamentally about one thing: initiation. That's the esoteric process of moving from spiritual ignorance into profound self-knowledge, illumination, and mastery. Wirth's Tarot is a psychological and spiritual map designed to pull us out of our starting limitations, guide us safely through the intense challenges of the human experience, and ultimately deliver us into a state of mastery. We can clearly trace this progression, often called the Fool's Journey, through distinct steps that perfectly mirror our own path to esoteric understanding. We all begin at step 1, the unconscious start, represented by the naive, wandering fool. To evolve, we have to move to step 2, facing the alchemical trials represented by the archetypes. We're talking experiencing destruction, rebirth, judgment, and balancing our inner forces. Only by navigating those trials through intense, contemplative self-study can we hope to reach step 3, achieving spiritual mastery, representing the fully illuminated soul. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with something to really chew on. Wirth didn't build this intricate, symbol-laden map just for us to sit around and study it academically. He built it so you could locate yourself within it. So look at the archetypes, understand the esoteric trials, and ask yourself, where are you on the Fool's Journey right now? Which alchemical trial are you currently facing? And what esoteric truths must you unlock to reach the next stage of your own spiritual evolution? I'll see you next time.